All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Gamerverse War Machine versus Omega Red 2-pack. Now, I do have the Venom versus Captain America 2-pack, and I have filmed a review for that twice. I did it twice, but I've been sick, and I don't edit these. I just don't have the means to do so right now. This is all one take off my phone. And with me being sick, there was just one too many disgusting noises of me hacking up an organ. So just to mix it up, I'm doing this one, and then I will redo for the third time the Captain America Venom 2-pack, because I have a lot to say about that one. So yeah, that's where we're at. So again, I'm not to the part where I'm taking these out of the package yet, because these are all already part of my collection, but we'll get there. And yeah, so I guess I'll go over accessories first. And like I said, with all of these, I don't know exactly what came on them in the package, so I'm just going to kind of go off what's on the side here for now. So Omega Red, you can see what he's got on him now, but he also comes with these two fists, very nicely painted with the silver there. And I did repaint, like I said, I do a little bit of customization with these. I did repaint those rings around the fingers. I don't know how accurate that is, but it just felt right to do, so I did it. So there's that. And he also comes with, he's got the smaller, I'm sure there's a term for whatever these are, but he's got the smaller tentacle things on right now. But he also comes with these two much longer ones. They're different in sculpt. They're not, like, they bend and you can do stuff, but they're not bendy wire. But just judging off, like, that one kind of looks like you could wrap it around somebody's neck for a tight grip. This one kind of looks like you'd probably get that around like a waist. I did paint these silver. The silver, for the most part, that came on Omega Red out the box was pretty good. There was just some bits here and there. The silver that was on this was pretty good too, but I just went ahead and shined it up a little bit more. If I wasn't a complete lazy bastard, I'd go in to every single one of those panel lines, either with like a black or a darker metal gray, and kind of make those come out a little bit more. My cat's angry at me because I didn't do this properly, but yeah, there's that. And then War Machine's accessories. You can see he has like the main one on right now, but the other ones include, he's got these two kind of repulsor open hands, as you can see here. And again, I did customize this guy a little bit. I did fill in all these tiny lines. I color matched the bluish silver tone he has for what he's got going on there. I matched it pretty perfectly, might I add, but I did fill in those hands, and I'll go over more of that stuff when we get into the actual figure. But he also comes with this pretty cool fire blast effect that plugs into right here, and it stays in there quite nicely. It stays in there much better than the missile effects we've had on the previous version of this guy. But I'll take that off for now. And then he also comes with this. Again, I went over this in one of the two versions of the other 2-pack video I went over. I was not a Street Fighter guy. It's weird, and I know this is Marvel versus Capcom, but it's in the same kind of gameplay. I was weird. I love Street Fighter lore, character designs. I love Ryu. I'm here for the new movie coming up. I'm all for it. It's just when it comes to me playing it, the gameplay-wise, I can't get into it for some reason. I was more of a Mortal Kombat guy, so I don't know anything about this game necessarily. So, but I bring that up because I don't know what this is. I mean, clearly it's a missile, and I didn't bother painting it. I see some stuff I would like to do to it, but I just, like, there's a peg hole right there, but there's nothing to plug it in on the actual figure. And it doesn't even, yeah, you can't even get it into that hole. I don't really know what this is for, unless he's like, he can't even hold it with his hands. So I really don't know what this is for. I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's not just another random hand or whatever, but I just find this a little bit strange. And then we'll get into the figures here. So I'm going to start with excuse me, War Machine here. Now this is pretty much the third version of this we've gotten. There's some different parts here and there, but this was originally, for the most part, a lot of it's reused from that initial black and silver War Machine. And then they kind of reissued that one when they did like the animated series War Machine, where instead of the silver, it was white. So this is basically that figure with some adjustments here and there. I don't have my old collection anymore again, so I can't compare and contrast directly right here, but just know it's pretty much the third incarnation of this style. And also side note, there was a very similar Gamerverse looking / colorway War Machine. I don't know what wave it was in. I can't remember, but it basically had this colorway, and it looked more like the animated series Iron Man. So yeah, so paint apps, like I said, there's a lot of black on here, and I think all the black bits you see here are separate pieces. I don't think there's black painted over any of this metallic bluish, and I don't think there's any of this blue metallic bluish painted over any of the black. Although I say that, and I think the belt buckle area, whatever you want to call that, pretty sure that's just painted over some black. I don't know if it's the shadow being cast, but it's there's some areas, because it is raised, and some angles it kind of looks like I'm seeing a crevice, like it could be a separate piece, but I don't know. And like where it meets the plastic here, that really looks like a separate piece there. The faceplate looks like a separate piece. That neck's a separate piece. Yeah, other than the blue I added, I am pretty sure in this buckle here maybe. I'm not sure about this arc reactor section, but yeah. It looks fine. Like I said, it's just that black and the bluish silver. What I added was I filled in lines on the feet and the hands, as well as the gauntlets here. Some stuff on the boot area there, as well as the notches in this area, some on the head there. I may have added that speck right there, I don't know. As well as some stuff on the gun there and the shoulder pads here, and there's a crevice in there too. And now that I got this in better lighting, you can kind of see. I should probably go in with some alcohol and clean that up, so don't mind that. That's an easy fix though. And then yeah, oh, and then this kind of looks weird, but you'll never really see it. Well, I guess if you really come out with it, but the actual shoulders are black too, so that looks kind of weird, but whatever. And then I'm gonna do paint apps over here with Omega Red, and I gotta say the red on this guy is awesome. I don't really know what kind of red you would want to call this, but it's just a darker red. So you got white down here. This is a separate piece, and then most of the top here is sculpted or is molded in that red plastic. There is a red hinge joint that does kind of get into the white there, but I would rather see that than more white coming up here, I think. So yeah, these shoulder pads are knee pads are a separate piece too, that are kind of go over the knee joint there. And then this harness piece here is a completely separate kind of overlay. So that's nice. And I don't think, yeah, it doesn't, unless there's somewhere up here hidden, I don't think this comes off, which is weird considering the old one, because this is maybe like the third-ish version of this, I think. And I'm pretty sure the old ones came off. And it looks like, I'm pretty sure that's where it would come off on the older ones. But I don't actually see it separating there, so that's kind of odd. But anyway, yeah, the actual silver on these, so when I did my touch-ups here, the silver I added here was perfectly matched to what was already going on. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go over it then, because, you know, they already did a really good job on that. Most of the silver they have going on was pretty perfect. Like, I didn't touch this area here. I thought that was pretty good. This part may have benefited from what I did to it. I did fill in those lines there with the darker gunmetal gray, and I did go over the face part, and there's like little square notches in there. I just kind of helped bring that out with a darker metal gray. Went over this too, filled those lines in. But the number one thing that looked cheap was the knee pads here. Those were not, those were looking like more like the cheap swirly twirly gray plastic they use, so that wasn't very good. So I did go over that as well, and that brought it out. And in between these pads here, I went in with a darker red and those crevices there. And then what else am I missing here? Oh, like I said, I did go over the finger rings there, and a little creative liberty by me, but I wanted to switch this up a little bit. Like, they are very much their game incarnation, so I didn't want to stray too far away from that, even if I've never played the game. But I figured it wouldn't hurt. It's just the fingers. I did think about making that Omega symbol on the headband silver, but again, I gotta reel it back sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty much the paint apps. I didn't touch any other, forearm wrist things. I filled in those lines with a darker red too. Again, that might not be your cup of tea, but I do think it helps add, like, because there will be sculpted detail that's just lost in the plastic shine, and I like it personally, but like I said, that's just me. So yeah, and I guess like the sculpt, the blue parts on this War Machine, it kind of just looks like actual musculature, which has always bugged me on classic Iron Man figures. It's just like, is that metal? Is it an undersuit? Why does it look like human anatomy? It's always just kind of bugged me, but it has kind of grown on me since I've seen so many of these designs. And then the rest is just like super padded, techno-y kind of whatever. I will say it's kind of weird, the neck in there there's a lot of lines in there, which I would have filled in with a darker version of this color, but I could not get this head off, and I just didn't want to pry it off. So that just kind of is what it is. And but I bring that up because nowhere else on this blue area is it sculpted like that, and it kind of stands out to me. And it's such a small hidden area, but I notice it. So but yeah, everything else, it's like, it's smooth. It's fine. I don't have a problem with this. And the sculpt here is, like I said, I'm pretty sure we've seen most of this. Super muscular thighs. I think the calf section's kind of weird. Is it not? That kind of look, I've never really seen. Is he just that muscular? I don't know. That looks kind of weird. And then up here, just super jacked. Hair sculpt is awesome. I got no complaints. I think these guys look awesome. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Omega Red, because I do think he looks more interesting. I think he's a more interesting character, which might upset you. I don't know. To my understanding, no one really cares about Omega Red anymore nowadays. I always thought he was cool, though, so every time I see him pop up somewhere, I get hyped. So I just think he's more interesting. And yeah, so I guess we'll go over articulation now. So we'll do him first. So his head is on, I'm assuming it's a dumbbell joint because I can't get it to go anywhere. Tilt, and that's usually the telltale sign of a dumbbell joint, because watch, he won't be able to look down. Yeah, not really. He won't be able to look up. Not really. I will say, though, that neck, though, also seems to be on a ball on the bottom there, because the neck is moving too. So that's much better than just the singular one in the actual head, I will say that. And then upper torso here can bend back that much, which is honestly better than I was expecting, and it can bend forward that much. So usually they bend forward better than they bend backwards, but this one bends backward much better. But it opens up in there, and you can kind of see where that black bit stops. So But, you know, if you're getting them to fly like this, you can't really tell. And then, yep, waist swivel, which I don't really care for. Like I said, it's only kind of good till about right there, and otherwise you start getting a shelf of a hip, but whatever. And then the shoulders can come out to about, probably about there. Might be more, but this is getting in the way. Now this is, though, however, pretty sure this is a ring around the peg. Yes, it is. So, although it's not moving, I will say that, it's not kind of going around like other ones. So that kind of gets in the way, not gonna lie. Double jointed pinless arm, which now that I'm actually sitting here trying to articulate this guy, these things are pretty cumbersome, these shoulder pads. So that only goes up to, I guess that's 90, but this giant part of the cuff is gonna hit there. Hands can go that way and go that way. They spin around. And then you got the ball coming out to the hip. It can go sideways that much, which isn't a whole lot. It can go backwards, basically not at all. It can go forward about 90. But it's also got this kind of down, like the swoop here, so but it's basically 90. It is pinned at the legs, so these are reused legs, and like I said, it's probably that original toy machine. I got skateboarder brain, War Machine, but they do come out to there, which is actually, that's pretty good. I was expecting it to be much worse. Did I forget this? The upper thigh cut. There is no boot swivel, but that's because the entirety of the leg after the knee joint is the boot. So, and then, yeah, and then it comes out to this area. I was trying to see if this top part of the foot was a separate piece, but it looks like it's the same piece. Forward-facing pin for rocker, and you get nice rock there, and it can go back that much, which is, that's pretty good for an armored War Machine. And it can't go forward very much. That kind of even doesn't, it does go forward, but it's like a centimeter. So that's not the greatest. And then, oh, and this, the gun, duh. So the gun, it's on a ball there, so you can, it does swivel all the way around there. You do have some of this action going on. You have very minimal tilt there, but it is on this kind of lever system, so kind of this relaxed look. And I also think it'd be cool if like this was like helping with like the jet propulsion, but whatever. And then like I said, it lifts up this lever there, and now you got a giant War Machine cannon. And like I said, it goes this way, it'll hit the back of the head, but it does, you get enough tilt on it to where you can get it around the head there. You're not going to get it around the head going that way. A little bit of tilt, more so that way than this way, and it's not even hitting the head. There's some tilt there. And it does, that's as forward as it's going to go. So that's max forward and max up. And then that's max forward and max down. So yeah, and like I said, yeah, I need to go on some alcohol and tidy some of this up, because it's actually in this lighting, it's bugging me. But yeah, I thought about making the eyes glow, but again, trying to reel it back, especially for, you know, this specific design is trying to mimic the game, which I think these both do a fairly good job at. So that's pretty much War Machine. I think I prefer the animated series one, the one where it's white. I really do like this faceplate on this one, though. It does look pretty cool, but I'm a sucker for like stuff from television and movies, so the animated series one kind of is more my cup of tea. But this is pretty cool, and it's different enough from the previous two, because when I had the animated series one, I didn't feel the need to get that original silver one. So this is a nice little switch up. And then Omega Red, pretty big boy. He's a little bit on the thicker side. Here he is next to War Machine, by the way. He is taller. War Machine's a little bit of a thicker guy. Not so much tall, but he is broad. So there's that. I guess starting with the head. The head is on a ball and a hinge, and it can go forward only about that much. There's a lot of hair up front, and it is a little bit softer, but it still hardens up a bit. And then the back, as you see, his hair looks much more yellow on this camera, by the way. I'm just now noticing that. It's much more subdued and tanner in person. But yeah, a lot of hair going back, so you're not going to get a whole lot going that way either. Virtually no tilt. And you're not even going to get them to, I guess if you lift up the back there and really push, you can get side to side there. But man, this side's a little bit harder. So not a whole lot going there. I believe this is pegged in, the hair, or the ponytail and the hair. I believe it's pegged in because it is doing this, but I don't want to pull it or anything. That does seem intentional there, but you never know. And then articulation. So I feel like this harness is going to get kind of in the way. So there is a waist swivel there, and then there is a hinge at the ab section, and going forward, oh man, I'm getting PTSD from that Gamerverse Venom right now, which you'll see when I get to it. It goes forward enough. That's a nice little crunch. And this is like kind of soft enough to where it's just kind of folding outward like that. So that's fine. And it is going to make the bottom kind of sneak past the waist swivel there. It does push it down, and I'm assuming the same goes for bending back, which goes back that much, which, I mean, that's decent. You know, it's not ideal, but that kind of seems like someone's jumping at him kind of pose, whereas this one kind of looks like looking down on you because he just Omega Redded you. And then ball coming out to the hip. There is an upper thigh cut, but man, oh man, is that tight. That's very tight, but it is there. Can go back, very minimal. Can go forward. I hear a lot of clicking. That's basically 90, so that's good. And then comes out to the side about there. Not a whole lot. And then does have pinned legs, but it will, let's see, this guy's really tight. Man, there we go. Goes to about there, because he does have some thunder thighs. And then forward facing pin for rocker coming down here. Very nice. I mean, you can basically break his damn ankle, so that's good. And then going back, also just as good. Going forward, pretty good. That's pretty acceptable to me. And then the arms here, there is a butterfly joint, which I love. But there's a lot going on here. So, oh, that did not sound good. This guy's clicking and clacking, man. I'm also moving my camera everywhere. Let's see. Let's fix this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so after it made that horrible noise, it's going much more across the body. That's actually, wow, that's actually, I like that for such a big guy in these elbow pads. Thought I broke it for a second. So that's actually pretty good. And then going backwards, so it feels like it doesn't want to go, but if you push a little bit harder, it does go. And it would probably go more if it wasn't for this harness. But it's weird. This is like the first time I feel like it goes forward better than it does back. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it goes back a little bit more. But it comes out to the hinge on the shoulder here, and it does go up. Why is this guy so tight? Oh, there goes one of his tentacles. I think it's actually just stopping there. Yeah, because I don't know if you can see this. There's like it's one of those weird things where there's like that little, I don't know what you you want to call it, just some sculpt sticking out past the hinge. That little ledge of a bump there, it's going to stop it from going up any higher. Double jointed pinless arms, and bicep probably, yeah. Although it does get slightly past 90, I'd say. That's a separate piece there. Hand does come out. Everything is so tight. There we go. Goes up. Goes down, but careful because the metal, well, the metal plate there is going to kind of run into the forearm guard. And then there's his disgusting wrist hole where these things pluck in. And I don't think there's a specific way they go in. I don't think they're keyed in any which way. Oh, wait. Oh, that one. You know what? I don't think I had that in. I don't think I have them, either of them in completely. No. Oh, I just pushed those in substantially further than I had them. So that's good. That was a nice tight fit. So those probably aren't going anywhere. I got the small ones on them now because these ones just take up so much real estate. But, you know, maybe I'll get bored here and there and switch it up. So, yeah, I'm actually surprised with how well this guy moves. Particularly in the butterfly joints and the ab crunch. I thought this harness was kind of going to suck, but it works for me. I'm trying to think, did I cover everything on this guy? The white is like beautifully matte. It's not shiny at all. Most of this red, it's not super shiny. I will say that once you get to the legs, though, the legs seem much shinier than anything else here. Which it's a little jarring, but overall, looks fine to me. Face sculpt is phenomenal. I think the previous versions we got, he came with a maybe separate head sculpts. I can't remember. But yeah, that's pretty much it for articulation for these guys. So Omega Red, calm down, dog. So yeah, I guess final thoughts here. Also, it doesn't matter which incarnation of this guy it is. These always seem to get a little bit too loose for my liking. I remember my white one was even worse than this. Not that this is horrible, but it is a little bit on the looser side. So that's whatever. Final thoughts. Do I recommend this? I'm gonna say yeah. Mainly because during my first collection, Omega Red was one of those ones that was just kind of hard to get. I did end up getting one. I can't remember how or where, but he came in a giant box set at one point, and, you know, good luck. I'm sure you could find it, but I'm sure that's super expensive. And he was released in a single release. Don't know which wave it was, but there's also that. And I don't even remember which one I found. I had to have found it loose at a shop or something, but I'm sure it was still kind of more on the expensive side. So this guy just, I would recommend this if you're like serious about collecting, especially if you like the X-Men. I would get this just for him because this is just kind of one of those characters that was hard to come across. You don't see them making a whole lot of, but I've always just loved Omega Red, so maybe I'm biased, but I would recommend this. I'm pretty impressed with this figure. This figure doesn't do a whole lot to sway me. I like it just about as much as like the previous version, even though the other version I liked a little bit more because it was the animated series design, but he still feels kind of loose, super soft plastic on the legs. I feel like if you were to just dig your fingernail in there, you could probably just get through it. That's pretty much only on the limbs though. This is pretty hard plastic. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna clean this guy up a little bit after I'm done with this. So yeah, Omega Red, just for Omega Red, I would recommend this for sure. And I know I said I was only going to do stuff on the pegs. This has been out for a while. Same with the Venom 2-pack. However, I still found these on the shelves. So therefore it's relevant, and therefore there's probably other people out there contemplating it, so that's why I decided I would still do this review. But I would just recommend it for Omega Red alone. I can't remember the price. And they each get a separate set of hands. Omega Red comes with those 2 smaller tentacles and these tentacles. And then War Machine comes with this pretty cool, although kind of plain on the paint apps, it could be better. But it does come with that, plugs in nicely into the gun. And he comes with, like I said, it comes with this random whatever. I don't know if like if you have like head pool or something, that stand that it comes with. I can't remember how big that is exactly, but that looks like maybe it would plug in there. Surely it plugs into something within the Marvel Legends line. Otherwise, I don't know. But as it stands right now, the figure it's meant for, you can't do anything with it. So whatever. I do wish it came with other head sculpts maybe. I don't know how else you would get a different head sculpt for him. It's not like he's changing facial expressions. But I think you could get away with maybe another... I mean, hell, they did it with the Venom and Captain America 2-pack. Although, I mean, I guess that's a little bit more warranted. Plus, I mean, I don't know. It's fine. Decent set of accessories. Maybe I'm just nitpicking at this point. Stuff I would make better before I go. I don't know. I think this guy's... I'm not going to say he's like a perfect action figure, but I was pleasantly surprised with how this guy moves. So I don't really... Maybe... actually, I lied. That no longer being... Because I'm pretty sure it was like a button you snapped in, and it hooked around itself. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's still another way to take this off. Because sometimes they are really good at hiding it. I don't know. But... while it's more secure and you don't have to worry about that ever getting stressed out or snapping, I don't know, I guess if you really wanted to customize this guy, it would be a hell of a lot easier if you could just take this off. But for the most part, super hyped on him and making this guy better. I don't know. That head's on there, super tight. Oh, disc hinge. This guy needs to look up fully so he can fly. Other than that, I don't think these are implemented the best. I've seen these done much better in the past because these aren't really moving around the peg in there. So it's really going to stop them from moving up there. And again, this is just such soft plastic. I feel like that's why it's always loose in the hips. But other than that, yeah, there's that. Oh, also I forgot to mention, these repulsor blast hands. These are the ones that are not articulated. There's no hinge there. I always thought that was strange. And it's like, yeah, you're going to have them like that or sticking out like that, like he's, you know, pointing it at you. But it would just be nice to also have the option to articulate it, you know, kind of just have a relaxed, normal hand. The first time I ever ran into these, I don't know how this worked, but the first pair I had, it was for the, maybe the Extremis Iron Man, I can't remember, but it didn't have a peg on it. And it wasn't like cut off. There was no break point. It was smooth. It just like somehow molded wrong and it didn't have the peg on there. So that was my first experience with these things. But that's such a nitpick to me, you know, because it's just a nitpick. But it would be nice, you know, options are always better. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I do recommend this just for this guy alone. This is probably one of my favorites in at least the comic book section that I have right now. I just love me some Omega Red. So, I would recommend it. And I guess that's basically it. Hopefully, the next time I record this Venom and Captain America 2-pack, I don't hack out one of my organs. So... that's going to be it. Please like and subscribe. Shout out to my first subscriber. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name because I will butcher it. And just thank you if you've clicked on this, if you've subscribed. You know, those little things go a long way for me on my end. And yeah, hit the notification bell too as well. You know, anything to help. I'd say share it, but I've always found sharing this kind of video strange, you know. So but anyway, anything helps. I greatly appreciate it. And this one has basically doubled in length, but there's another figure. So I'm rambling. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next one. Peace.